Hello, my friends. It's Manny Rodriguez. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime, where we explore the ongoing cases that are going on, things that you might be interested in following if you're into true crime. A lot of people love following this true crime. My goal is to help you be aware of what goes on out there, to help you become smarter out there, and to always help you understand, what are things you should be aware of? Even starting this YouTube channel with around deep true crime. I've always been one that believes be aware of your surroundings, but following a lot of these stories, I'm even learning more and more. And literally, I have a lot of that even goes through in my mind, be alert here, be alert there. What could possibly happen here? So that's the goal of my channel, is to help you be alert. If that sounds like something you like to follow, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that thumbs up, and let YouTube know you're getting some value. This is something you would like to follow. Thank you for joining me today. I'll be right back in 10 seconds. Thank you for being here today. We're going to dive right into it. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me today. And the very first thing that I want to talk about is the one thing that I've been talking about for the longest time, right? And what happened? Why did that go away? There we go. And so it's the Gabby Petito update. And my gosh, I've got some updates for you. If you've been following this, there's more news to come. So unfortunately, I won't have all the final information around the Gabby Petito, what I'm about to share with you. And so here we are. We have been following this case myself since about September 11th, and that's when Gabby Petito was reported missing. And so I've been following this case every single day. And I want to keep you updated on what's going on if you've been following the Gabby Petito updates. And so that's exactly what I want to share with you. And the very first thing I want to hit on is this big story. So there have been some human remains found, and this was during the hunt for Brian Laundrie. And so here's why this is a big deal. Because some of his personal items have been found. That's right, they found some of his personal items. And so they were discovered today. These personal items were discovered today. And now we come to find out that there's some human remains that were found in this hunt, where they found these articles of clothing that could belong to him. And from all accounts, his parents said they said it belongs to him. And so these were apparently his belongings. So considering that there looks to be some human remains that have been found around this article of clothing, that could be him. That could be him. We don't know yet. There is supposed to be a press conference from the FBI in about 40 minutes. So we'll know more after that. If it is him, I will definitely be reporting on that right away. Because a lot of us want to know what's going on with Brian Laundrie. Where is he? Is he going to be found? We don't know that, right? And so there have been some human remains that were found in the hunt for Brian Laundrie. And of course, this is the Sun here, but this is all over right now. This was updated at 2:51 Eastern. That was about 40 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. Okay, but human remains have been found in the search for fugitive Brian Laundrie. And so they've been searching for him. Now he's a fugitive because of using her debit card. He's a wanted man for using her debit card and her PIN for fraudulent activities. Now, obviously, he probably used it when she was alive, but he used it even after she died. And we now know she has since been strangled. But is this him? Are these human remains Brian Laundrie? And so, as far as we know, he's been on the run. There's been some updates around Brian Laundrie. There's been a lot of multiple sightings around Brian Laundrie, but we still have yet to really know. And so now we know there have been some human remains found in the search. But here's also the truth. Here's also the truth about all of this. There have been multiple bodies that have been found since the search for Gabby Petito and now Brian Laundrie. Multiple missing people have been found through this search. And so, with that being said, we're talking about 5 to 7 bodies have been found. And we're talking about missing persons that have been found. So it's hard to really get your hopes up, is this Brian, when throughout this whole manhunt, multiple bodies have been found. We're talking about 5 to 7 bodies have been found in this search for Brian Laundrie. And so we're talking about even possibly, now granted this says at least 5 bodies, we're talking about up to 7 bodies have been found since they started this manhunt. Since they started, even probably up to 7 when you think about since they were looking for Gabby. And a lot of the internet sleuths who have led the police down these roads have actually what has helped lead to these missing bodies. And I'm not going to go into each of these because I'm actually going to cover them because I want them all to get their own, get a little exposure of themselves being taken way too soon. They have been missing and then they were found. And so here we are. Since this whole thing, they have literally found multiple bodies. So it is hard to actually say, wow, this could possibly be Brian, when we've already seen this multiple times, right? We have already seen that. Multiple times we have seen this when it comes to the multiple bodies that have been found. So when they say some remains have been found, well, at the same time, true. But there have also been multiple bodies that have been found. So it's really hard to say. And so the parents went out today looking for Brian. They went out there to this, I don't know how to pronounce it, Myakahatchee Creek Environmental Park, which is where they originally said he went. Well, first they said Carlton Reserve. Then they said this environmental park, which is not too far from the Carlton Reserve. I don't actually know off the top of my head right now if it was part of the Carlton Reserve. Maybe it's just another area of the Carlton Reserve. I don't know. But they apparently went out there today to look for him. And so we don't really know at this time if. But today there was some scenery around this. Okay, where they were, you're gonna have to skip that ad. I'll actually come back to it because that could take a minute. And so there have been multiple sightings of Brian Laundrie, but the parents have really not been much involved. Literally not much involved. So this was when they found his belongings. And it could very well be his backpack. Okay, look, they're searching, they're looking in. It could very well be. And so you can see Roberta looking at something, and we're not too sure. That may be his backpack. Not able to get a good look at it from this particular angle. Could be the backpack. We'll see where that leads to. And so we don't know. What is that? What does that look like there? There you go. Well, we'll just have to wait to see until we find out some more information about this. Now, she just wiped something off his face. Was it a tear? Was it a tear, maybe, you know? They had the cadaver dogs out there. Man, my stream is just not looking too great. I hope it's coming in okay at this moment. I turned my Wi-Fi off. I'm gonna have to work on that. So we'll learn more when they actually have the release of this. When the FBI come out to talk, we'll have more on that particular things. But something else I wanted to share with you around the Gabby Petito case is the parents, the Brian Laundrie parents, the ones you just actually saw. So yesterday, their attorney came out and talked, of course, on their behalf. As usual, they continue to talk on their behalf. And so, according to Brian Laundrie's attorney, he says the parents of Brian Laundrie are being tortured in their own home by protesters. Well, here's the truth, my friend. They know some more than they're telling us. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Okay, yes, we're playing detective. Yes, we're saying more than probably detectives are allowed to say. But we don't get paid to do this stuff, right? So we can give our opinions on this particular matter. But he says, the attorney, Stephen Bertolino, he says the parents are being tortured by the protesters outside their Florida home. And he says that because of everything. They you know, wherever they go, they're being grilled because they know more. There's no doubt in any of our minds they know more. You know, they stopped harassing Cassie because Cassie spoke up. The Brian Laundrie parents are not speaking up. They're not saying anything. And Bertolino says they have no idea whether their son is alive or not. Well, we'll probably find out today. Because if this is not him, he's still alive. No doubt he's still alive. But for the FBI to say we're going to have a press conference, well, there must be something relevant there. There literally must be something relevant there. I mean, I would think, right? So, what do you think? What do you possibly think? Could that be him? Do you think that's going to be him? Well, you know, truth is, at the end of the day, we're going to find out. We will find out. But for them to say they're being tortured, for them to say they are being tortured, considering what the son has said, not said, done, and for the parents to lawyer up right away and say Brian's not talking to anyone, because no one's actually, Brian didn't say I'm not talking to anyone, talk to my attorney. The parents spoke for him. You know what I mean? The parents spoke for him. And so that's why only more we'll have to just wait. We'll just have to wait until we find out if this is facts. And so now you got the coroner, who's now coming to this scene as well, where the clothing was found. Why would you need a coroner there? Well, because apparently a body has been found. It doesn't have to be Brian, but here's the truth. They would be able to identify Brian if it's Brian. They would literally be able to identify Brian if it's Brian because of his tattoos. So for there to be a press conference at like less than 30 minutes now, and so I'll make sure I'll finish this so I can be on for that. And if there's any new updates, you know I'm going to share it with you as soon as I can. And so you have all these law enforcement agencies arriving to this Myakahatchee, did I say that right? Creek Environmental Park. And so, what do you think? Will it be him? Will it be him? Because there comes a time that we'll have to know. We'll have to know. And so that is the latest Gabby Petito update. And I'll definitely keep you updated if there's more behind that. And it's just a matter of time. The next thing I want to share with you is the Parkland Killer. You guys remember the Parkland Killer, right? The school of the kid who shot up a bunch of kids. I mean, like, oh my God, it's one of the worst mass shootings in life. And so this 2018 Parkland school massacre, Nicholas Cruz, he pleads guilty, which is changing his plea. Because at first he didn't plead guilty. And so today, Nicholas Cruz pleads guilty today to this heinous act. And so he pleaded guilty to murdering 17 people during his rampage at his former high school in Parkland, Florida. It's one of the worst things to ever happen. One of the worst things. And now the jury will decide whether he will get the death penalty or just spend the rest of his life in prison. Now, I'm not going to give my thoughts on that, because there's some pros and cons of both honestly. But I am not a fan of playing God. But in the Bible, you take a life, you get what you deserve. And so, I think I would prefer him just spend the rest of his life in prison until he dies. And I know it costs taxpayers a lot of money, but I feel that's more justice. Now, granted, he'd probably stay on death row for 15, 20 years. That's a long time too. But he should never see the light of day again, unless he's going out in the fences. But now he changes his plea. He also, he talks about smoking marijuana being some of what caused this. I don't know about that. I definitely don't know about all of that. And so a lot of the victim relatives, they were in the courtroom. They were watching this whole thing. And so, of course they broke down in tears and they were holding hands across, of all the families. I sure hope there's no stupid conspiracy theories that come about this one, like the Sandy Hook one. And I think the guy who started that whole thing, I can't remember his whole name, I think he's being held accountable. But it's amazing when you can try to put conspiracy theories around things and then people actually buy into that. Like, it's kind of mind-blowing sometimes. And so that's why the internet is, sometimes the internet's not very good. It's got its pros and cons too, right? But sometimes you can spread a false lie that can reach so many people too fast and it be false. And so you see a lot of that right now. But what, will he get life or will he die? And so now the 12 jurors, they're going to do that. And so Cruz, he did apologize. So I don't know what to say about that. He did apologize. I'm sure it fell on deaf ears. Those parents could care less about this apology. It's my guess. But even as he was apologizing, several of those parents were shaking their head. They weren't buying it. But he said, I'm very sorry for what I did. I can't live with myself sometimes. And of course, they're like, whatever. They're not buying into that. One parent, Gina Hoyer, her 15-year-old son, Luke, died in the shooting. She saw it as part of a defense strategy to keep a violent, evil person off death row. That makes sense. That he would do that so that the jury has a little sympathy for him and say, look, he looks like he's, regretting it. And so we got to figure that part out, like what will happen. And we won't really know much on whether he's going to get death row or is he going to get life sentence. We won't know that answer for a little while. And so one parent, now this parent or this student, he was a former Stoneman Douglas student, and he was shot 5 times and severely wounded. He told the reporters after the hearing that he accepted Cruz's apology, but noted that it was not up to him to decide the confessed murderer's fate. And his quote was, he made a decision to shoot the school. I am not God to make the decision to kill him or not. That's not my decision. My decision is to be a better person and to change the world for every kid. I don't want this to happen to anybody again. It hurts. It really hurts. So I am just going to keep going. That's it. I appreciate that response. He almost sounded like someone who's like, I'm going to use this to better the world. Good luck with that. You can't fix crazy. You cannot fix crazy. I'm sorry. I'm just not convinced you can fix crazy. You can fix mistakes. You can move forward, learn from the mistakes. But I don't think you can fix crazy. Once they're gone, they're gone. But again, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not trying to play psychologist, so I'm moving on from that one. But, he has pleaded guilty. He's apologized. Now, his fate waits in the jurors' hands. We'll only know more when we know more. And so he pleads guilty. Nicholas Cruz pleads guilty. So that's that one on to Parkland. And so here we are, 10 months later. 10 months later. So Maya Milete, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Maya Milete, probably Milete, she had been missing for 10 months. She had been missing for about 10 months. And 9 or 10 months. And no arrest had been made until now. Yesterday, her husband was arrested. Her husband was arrested for her missing, for the vanished mom. And the SWAT team completely raided the home and in arresting him. He had been on their target for a little while, and so he was arrested yesterday morning for the alleged murder of his wife, who vanished more than 9 months ago, almost 10 months ago. They were all, him and the kids, they were going to go on a camping trip, go hiking or something like that, and they never make the trip, and then mom is missing. And so the SWAT team raided his home this Tuesday morning, and so they got him. They had about 67 search warrants and interviewed 87 witnesses over the past 9 months, getting their side of things. And so the police chief of Chula Vista, Roxana Kennedy, this is what she shared in the press conference. These efforts ultimately generated a variety of pieces of evidence that have become clear and overwhelming. Larry Milete, Maya's husband, is responsible for Maya's murder and disappearance. Now, I don't think they found her body, though. I don't think they found her body, or did they find her dug up? We're about to find out. Maya's older sister pleaded with the public for any assistance in helping locate Maya's remains. And she shares, this is still not the end. We still have a long way to go. We're still asking the public, please help us bring my sister home. I still want to see my sister. I still want her to come home to us. We made a promise to her 11-year-old daughter that we would bring her mom home. Let her kids know where their mommy is at. They don't know where she's at. And so Larry is facing charges of murder and illegal possession of an assault weapon. And so he was named a person of interest in this case in July. And they had to get more evidence. That's the thing. When you're trying to get some search warrants and warrants for a person's arrest, they want to get it all. They don't want anything uncovered, because if you make a mistake, the trial can be, you can lose the trial if you're a prosecuting attorney. You can lose the trial if you don't have all your ducks in a row. Some people go to trial and are innocent, and some people are found guilty and are innocent. Let's make sure that we're clear on that, because people do get wrongfully convicted. And those are one of the worst things, when you are connected to a crime and you have nothing to do with it. That's one of the worst feelings ever. And so Larry had been withdrawing a whole bunch of money from the bank in the days leading to his arrest, like he was going to try to make a run for it. You know what I mean? And so they were working hard to get this guy before he goes missing. And so they laid out piece by piece all the circumstantial evidence. Remember, it's circumstantial until there's a conviction, right? And so Maya Milete, she was already looking for a divorce attorney. And the husband knew she wanted a divorce. He knew she wanted a divorce. So, he, in his way, he thought he can try to patch it up. He thought he can just fix it up. But truth is, she wanted a divorce. And so she sought out advice from a divorce attorney in Facebook groups from mothers in her area right on January 7th. So they had that. And that's also the same day that she disappeared. And eventually she did make an appointment with a divorce attorney for the following week. And so she had been considering divorce since 2020. But again, she started looking hard on January 7th. And so, according to her sister, it's been a buildup for over a year. And come December of 2020, she was ready. She was ready in December. And then she finally did it. She was ready on January 7th, when she really started going for it. And so Larry's behavior, he started becoming erratic. He started becoming a little messed up because he was like, I'm about to lose my wife. And so in the lead up to Maya's disappearance, he wasn't acting himself. He was not acting himself. In September of 2020, he sent a picture of what appears to be an altar with an image of the couple covered in blood splatter or wax surrounded by candles. That's a little strange. That's definitely a little strange. And here's another strange thing he was doing. He was contacting spell casters. That's right. To try to cast spells on Maya so that something bad can happen to her so she can stay at home. I know. Isn't that ate up? And so he was even asking for her to become incapacitated. You know, for maybe to be in an accident, to have broken bones so she could stay at home. That is some homicidal, ways right there. That right there is a little messed up. That's a little messed up. And so Larry he was like, he wanted to save the family. He wanted to, but it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. So days after she disappeared, she returned home January 7th and she made an appointment with the divorce attorney. And her last message was to her family over Facebook Messenger that night. And in the afternoon of January 7th, Larry sent a really telling text. And he said, I think she wants me to snap and I'm shaking inside, ready to snap. And this was on January 7th, the last day anyone seen her or heard from her. And so about almost 10 o'clock that night, their time, this is like California time, neighbors, they said they heard 9 loud bangs. But authorities were never able to confirm that those were gunshots. Okay? And about 30 minutes after those loud bangs, the children of Larry and Maya, they were playing in the backyard. So people heard them playing back there. And so now January 8th, Larry had moved his black Lexus in the entrance of the garage. Guess why? Because there was no video that can capture whether a body was put in the back of the Lexus right there. So the video, you couldn't see what he was doing. Like he knew he was positioning it a certain way. And so in the morning of January 8th, Larry leaves and he does not return to the house for about 11 hours. Over 11 hours, he does not return to the house. And he leaves his phone behind. You can probably guess why he left his phone behind, so that you can't track the GPS. That's pretty obvious. I mean, so he must have been doing his digging, or he's been, following true crime stories for a long time and knows that that's an easy way to know where you're going. And what's sad is that he had his 4-year-old son with him all day on that January 8th while he was gone. And he was gone 11 hours, probably for a particular reason. And so January 8th, meanwhile, the employer of Maya's calling, right? They're calling Maya, they're calling Larry's dad frantically on January 8th. And so they're like, this is unlike him not to show up at work. So now, what did Larry tell the authorities why he was gone all day? He went to Solana Beach with his 4-year-old all day for 11 hours on the beach. My gosh, if it was sunny, that kid is crisp. And so eventually, January 9th, that's when Maya's family reported her missing. And so in the days after the disappearance, Larry told San Diego's KGTV that the couple had their ups and downs over the past year and that they got into an argument the night before Maya vanished. Generally, that kind of puts a little more eyeballs on you. And so, you know, they have 3 children together. They have 3 children, and since the mom disappeared, those 3 children just stayed with Larry. And luckily, they were not home during this arrest. And so Larry, he had been in a legal battle with Maya's family over visitation rights. And even after a while, he literally stopped working with the cops and the FBI and the family. Literally. And so he said, he claimed that my wife voluntarily left me and our 3 children. So he's saying, you've heard this before. You've heard this before in other cases if you follow true crime. And, you know, he says, we do not know her whereabouts. Her disappearance is considered suspicious or criminal. And the Chula Vista Police Department stated that I am not a suspect and there is no evidence of foul play. This was early on, remind you. This was like shortly after she disappeared. And so, you know, they literally have been going and searching for her week after week. And so now, if you guys know anything, does this sound like any weirdness that you know, contact 888-508-8477. That's 888-580-8477. And so hopefully we find our body and we know what's going on. And so, my friends, thank you for being a part of this. My apologies if this was a little choppy because I am not getting a great stream here. It looks like it's a little in and out. So my apologies.